The village was quiet in the early hours of the morning, the kind of quiet that only exists before the world wakes up and demands attention. A thin layer of mist hovered above the narrow dirt paths, and the air smelled of wet soil and burning wood from distant kitchens preparing breakfast. In a small, modest house near the edge of the village lived a boy named Ayaan. Ayaan was not poor, but he was far from comfortable. His house had cracked walls, a leaking roof during the rainy season, and furniture that had seen better decades. Yet none of this bothered him as much as what lived inside his own head. His mind never stayed still. Thoughts collided like restless waves. One moment he dreamed of becoming someone important, someone respected. The next moment, his attention drifted toward meaningless distractions, noise from the street, gossip from friends, imaginary futures that never turned into action. He would sit with a book open in front of him for hours, only to realize he had not read a single page. Teachers often complained. He is intelligent but careless. He understands quickly but never focuses. He has potential, but potential means nothing without discipline. Ayaan heard these words so many times that they stopped hurting. Instead, they became excuses. He told himself that success depended on luck, background, or talent, anything but consistent effort. His father, Rashid, was a quiet man who worked long hours repairing bicycles in a small roadside shop. His hands were always stained with grease, and his back bent slightly more with each passing year. He never shouted, never lectured for long, but when he spoke, his words carried weight. One evening, as Ayaan scrolled endlessly on his phone while pretending to study, his father sat beside him. "Do you know why some people move forward while others stay stuck?" Rashid asked calmly. Ayaan shrugged. "Because they're lucky." Rashid smiled, not amused, but patient. "No, because they learn to sit with discomfort while others run from it." Ayaan didn't respond. His eyes stayed on the screen. Rashid sighed softly. A distracted mind is like a boat without an anchor. It looks free, but it drifts wherever the waves take it. Those words stayed in the air, unanswered. Weeks passed. Exams came and went. Ayaan's results were average, again. Not bad enough to shock, not good enough to matter. His friends celebrated small wins, posted photos, joked about the future. Ayaan laughed with them, but deep inside, an uncomfortable question kept knocking. What if I waste my life? That question scared him more than failure. One afternoon, Rashid closed his shop early and told Ayaan to come with him. They walked beyond the village, past fields and dusty roads, until they reached a small, quiet place surrounded by old trees. A simple structure stood there, no signboard, no crowd, just silence. An old man sat cross-legged on the ground, eyes closed, breathing slow and steady. His face carried lines of age, but also a calm that felt unfamiliar in a noisy world. "This is Idris," Rashid said softly. "People come to him when they are lost." Idris opened his eyes and looked at Ayaan, not judging, not curious, just aware. "So," Idris said, "you are fighting your own mind." Ayaan felt exposed. He nodded. Idris handed him a clay cup filled with water, right to the edge. "Walk around this place and return. Do not spill a single drop." Ayaan almost laughed. It sounded childish. He took a step. At first, it was easy. Then the wind moved the trees. Birds flew overhead. His arms tightened. His mind jumped. What if I spill? What if I fail again? A drop fell. Then another. By the time he returned, the cup was half empty. Idris looked at the cup, then at Ayaan. "You didn't fail because the task was hard. You failed because your attention was divided." Ayaan felt something shift inside him. Your life is that cup, Idris continued. Your energy leaks not because you lack intelligence, but because you give your focus to everything except what matters. For the first time, Ayaan listened without resistance. Idris did not give long lectures. He gave one instruction. Tomorrow morning, wake up before the sun. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Do nothing. Just notice your thoughts. 5 minutes sounded easy. It was not. The first day, Ayaan felt restless. His legs ached. His mind screamed for stimulation. The second day was worse. By the third day, he wanted to quit. But something strange happened. Between the noise, there were brief moments of stillness. Tiny, fragile moments, but real. Ayaan began changing small things. He didn't announce them. He didn't make promises. He simply chose differently, one decision at a time. He studied without his phone nearby. He finished tasks before seeking comfort. He learned to sit with boredom instead of escaping it. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And slowly, quietly, without dramatic music or instant rewards, Ayaan began to change. People noticed. His teachers noticed first. Then his friends. Then, finally, he noticed himself. His thoughts no longer controlled him completely. He could pause, choose, focus. A year later, a national selection exam was announced. Brutal, time-bound, designed to break even the smartest minds. Thousands would fail. Only a few would succeed. Ayaan registered without telling anyone. On the day of the exam, panic filled the hall. Students rushed, hands shaking, minds racing. Ayaan felt fear too, but he had learned something important. Fear loses power when the mind is trained. He focused on one question, then the next, then the next. When the results were announced, his name stood among the top. Not because he was the most talented, but because he had mastered the one thing most people ignore, their mind. And that decision changed everything. There were no drums, no grand speeches, no sudden transformation that turned Ayaan into a different person overnight. What arrived instead was something far more dangerous: attention. People who had never noticed him before suddenly remembered his name. Teachers smiled differently. Neighbors spoke with pride. Relatives who once compared him unfavorably now used him as an example. At first, it felt good. For a boy who had spent years being overlooked, recognition tasted sweet. Too sweet. Ayaan told himself he deserved it. After all, he had worked hard. He had sacrificed comfort. He had trained his mind when others chose distraction. But discipline has a quiet enemy: ego. Slowly, almost invisibly, small cracks began to form. He skipped meditation some mornings. Just today, he told himself. He checked his phone more often. I'm not like before, he justified. He stayed up late, scrolling, convinced he was in control. Nothing collapsed immediately. That was the trap. From the outside, Ayaan looked successful. From the inside, the old noise was waiting patiently, ready to return the moment discipline loosened its grip. One evening, Idris called for him. You are walking fast, the old man said, pouring tea slowly. But speed without balance leads to falling. Ayaan smiled politely. I'm managing. Idris looked at him for a long moment. Most people lose not because life defeats them, but because they stop guarding what helped them rise. Those words unsettled Ayaan, but he brushed them aside. Then came the real test. Ayaan received an offer to join a prestigious academy in the city. It was the kind of opportunity that separated ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. The city promised competition, freedom, and a future bigger than anything the village could offer. Rashid was proud but worried. "The city doesn't test intelligence," his father said quietly. "It tests character." Ayaan hugged him and promised he would stay grounded. Promises are easy in safe places. The city was louder than anything Ayaan had known. Lights never slept. People moved fast, spoke faster, and lived inside constant urgency. Everyone was chasing something: success, status, validation. At the academy, Ayaan was no longer special. Here, everyone was talented, everyone was smart, everyone had stories of struggle. For the first time in years, Ayaan felt small again. Pressure wrapped around him like a tight jacket. Expectations were higher. Failure carried real consequences. And distractions were everywhere: social circles, parties, competition, comparisons. At first, he held on. He followed routines. He stayed disciplined. He focused. But discipline is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily negotiation. One missed session became two. One distraction became habit. One excuse became identity. Ayaan didn't notice the fall until he was already sliding. His performance dropped. His mind felt heavy again. Thoughts scattered. Fear returned. Late one night, surrounded by books he could not focus on, Ayaan stared at his reflection in the dark window. The boy who had mastered his mind felt like a stranger. That night, he walked alone through the city streets, noise pressing in from every side. He remembered the cup of water. He remembered silence. He remembered who he was becoming and who he was risking becoming again. The next morning, he did something difficult. He asked for help. He called Idris. "I'm losing control," Ayaan admitted, voice low. There was no disappointment on the other end, only calm. "Good," Idris said. "Now you are awake again." Idris did not offer comfort. He offered responsibility. "You thought discipline was something you achieved. It is not. It is something you protect." Ayaan understood then. Mastery was not a destination. It was a practice. He rebuilt from zero. Not dramatically, quietly. He deleted apps. He reduced noise. He embraced boredom again. He chose discomfort over distraction, daily. Progress returned slowly, painfully, honestly. This time, he did not chase applause. He chased alignment. Months later, the Academy announced a challenge, an elite problem-solving summit where only a few would represent the institution nationally. Pressure was immense. Stakes were real. This time, Ayaan didn't seek validation. He trusted the process. When the final results were announced, his name appeared again. But this time, the victory felt different. It felt earned without attachment. When Ayaan returned to the village during break, nothing had changed, and everything had. The house was the same, the roads were the same, but Ayaan was not. He visited Idris one last time. "I understand now," Ayaan said. "The world never gets quieter. The mind must." Idris smiled. "Remember this," he said softly. "The strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who notice when they are slipping and choose to stand again. Ayaan walked back home as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the path. He knew the journey was far from over. But for the first time, he trusted himself to walk it, one focused step at a time. And somewhere inside him, a quiet certainty settled. Success was no longer something he chased. It was something he practiced.